Hey kids, you're about to listen to a comedy podcast. That means that none of this is medical advice. If you need medical advice or medical care, please contact your doctor.
Welcome to the Jock podcast,
where we discuss fitness and health and how to incorporate our modern understanding of science and medicine into our daily lives, but without it being so boring. I'm your host, drlondonsmith.com. I would like to begin by apologizing to our listeners. We've received some feedback about the excessive amount of technical medical terms that I've been using, such as echocardiography and whose asphalt was that? So I'll try to temper my terminology to a simpler one in the future. Here to help that is our producer Cameron.
Dr. London, oh gosh, we've got a ton of work to do. It's just one of those days yet again.
Because we're so far into the semester now that...
and technically the semester the semester hasn't started because the semester starts when we say it starts, right? Time is very fluid. Right. I don't know if you're familiar with True Detective Season 1, but in that show, they say that time, it turns around a lot.
Wow.
Over and over.
I'm glad that if I didn't have the True Detective reference point, I would have been so lost with that explanation.
Yeah, and honestly, let me explain what we're even talking about. If you've been listening the last few weeks, Dr. London and I are launching the Jock Podcast University. And we've been hammering out the details. It has not launched when we expected it to launch, but that's okay because, like I said, who cares about following Who cares about following traditional semester rules? A semester can start at midnight on October 31st. It can be Halloween.
And also, time is a construct, and we're going to teach that in our classes. Especially now, we're going to have to teach that in our classes.
Yeah.
That time is such a construct.
Well, and Dr. London, I wanted to talk a little bit about what we're going to teach in our classes, because this week we need to discuss what are the extracurriculars that our school is going to have.
Yeah.
Because when we've talked about the sports programs, and we have talked about, for example, this is going to be a party school. There's going to be lots of classes on that. But that's core. Those are core classes.
Right.
And then, of course,
to be able to do after. Yeah.
Our athletics, hockey, dogfighting, and Duck, Duck, Goose are sort of our focuses. And so, Dr. London, I don't even know where to start with this, because if you know me, I'm not really a school guy. I never went to college or high school or middle school or elementary school or preschool. Because that's that was never my vibe. I never really fell into that. I wasn't a nerd, I guess.
Well, yeah, you always said because you said you walked into preschool one day and you walked straight out. They're trying to teach you all this stuff.
Well, that's
hey, who needs that?
You ever walk into a room and just the energy's off? And you're like, let me try again tomorrow. You do it again tomorrow, and you're like, oh, wait, no, this isn't just today. This isn't just yesterday. This is the room, and I ain't doing this because I'm no nerd, and I'm not doing no nerd shit.
Yeah. So in the spirit of that, I have had to kind of take over a little bit with the extracurriculars, which is fine because I did so many extracurriculars in college that I actually kind of won awards for just the amount. So first of them, and we've already kind of hinted at this, is going to be timing. So we're going to have some stopwatches, and people are going to just time stuff, how long it takes for holding your breath, how long it takes for a bird to pass flying across the sky.
Oh, you're talking about Clock Club.
Okay, well, there is the club, but there's also the class. So I just want to thank you, and that's a good segue, but I do want to differentiate. Those are two. One of them is less credit. So,
okay, yeah, one is more on the educational side, where the other is people who are enthusiastic about it, wanting to meet and sort of take it.
And do homework together, yeah.
Yeah. And that's really cool, because I think we can focus a lot on time, because I've noticed that a lot of our students that have started gathering in their dormitories, they seem to be confused by the number 7 specifically. They say it's really sharp. They go, what the fuck is that? They get really defensive when they see it. And that is not a great sign.
Yeah, and and if I can say, because the way that I write my sevens, and I get that this is gonna be like everyone's gonna have an opinion on this. I write a 7 with an extra line through it, horizontally, and like I get that that's made some students upset, but like I'm a second generation immigrant, so
Well,
I come
you
from this
also
world.
add like a trigger and a bullet shooting out of it.
Yeah, and so like they've called it a shooting, but I'm like, no, that's 7.
That's the
7.
number 7, yeah.
Yeah.
But they
So,
get
like-
really afraid of it. So yeah, anything time related I think is a really good idea.
Yeah.
I was kind of thinking like, you know how the 2000s is like really in right now, like indie sleaze?
Yeah.
Well, what is more like 2000s indie sleaze than like the time my mom left me at the mall on accident?
Yes, I was gonna say the same thing.
Right?
Because that's when I think of the 2000s. That's what comes to mind.
Yeah, it's like The Strokes, Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind, and the time that my mom left me at the mall. And I was really scared.
Well, and really well documented too, right? The whole news team was there taking pictures of you.
It was everywhere.
Yeah.
It became huge local news.
Yeah. Well, and
because I was wreaking havoc.
Yeah, like, I was gonna say, like, you had your pants down, you were urinating.
Yeah, the news stories had less to do with being left behind at the mall and more like what I was doing at the mall.
Well, and that's this leftist media.
I mean, it was defined as religious terrorism.
It's this left-wing and or right-wing media that they spin it whichever direction that is.
Yeah, it was 2000s media, so who knows?
Yeah. It was propaganda of some kind that took notice of the bad parts of what you were doing and not the fact that you were a victim of circumstance. So a class is extracurricular about that.
Yeah, I just want to do a club or something for like people who want to meet about the time I was left at the mall.
Yeah, okay. So it'll be mall themed. We obviously can't afford a mall.
They just can like talk about it and stuff and like imagine it. None of this involves like us spending money.
Yeah, okay. I'm trying to think of
by
where
far
would be a
the
good place
most important thing.
Where to imagine that. I guess in the dorms. So outside at the dorm.
The barn.
Yeah. Great. Yeah. So another extracurricular that I think is important and like really defined a lot of my college years was daring each other to eat really spicy peppers.
Oh yes, and especially in this hot ones culture that we're all suffering under.
Yes.
It's
tough, but and this is when you get in the real world, you're gonna have to eat some spicy stuff, and sometimes it's gonna upset your stomach. Every
job interview I've had in the last 10 years has made me do the hot ones, like through the whole thing.
Yeah. And they ask you all your questions about like your work experience and
just like
past shows.
Well, and just stuff they read off Wikipedia. It's stuff that they just look at other interviews and are like, I'm just going to ask those.
Yeah. I know like one thing that is important, I think this distinguishes our university from other locations, is that we do dare each other to do it, and you can go ahead and be a coward and you can kind of back out from the dare. And so that's, to me, that really differentiates us in the sense of like, you don't really have to have a backbone about this. You can be as afraid as you truly are.
It sounds like we have the Spicy Society and the Coward Club right there. That's two different groups.
Frats, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, I think we've got it.
Yes.
And later, Cameron tells me that we can expect a special guest.
That's right, Dr. London.
So I do look forward to that. But before we move on, I would like to address a bit of listener feedback. For a long time, our listener demographic was primarily composed of horrifyingly attentive children. But in our efforts to cater to them, we found that we were neglecting the many bot accounts that download our podcast. So this one comes from TikTok. It's a bot they're responding to a comment in response to, "You kind of look like Shaq. You ever get that?" At Lauren Locks said, quote, "I see it," end quote. So thank you so much for this feedback. I'm sorry, I shouldn't have that out. Okay. I just like the zip. You know why I struggle with the zipper.
Yeah, you can't get your fingers around it.
Yeah. Well, it's again the little. You know how it has a little rectangle in the zipper for you to loop your finger through.
Yeah,
my
you're supposed
fingers
to stick
are way
your
too
finger
big.
in that. But you've got kind of swollen, huge, diseased fingers.
Just fat fingers. Yeah.
Show them to the camera real quick.
Yeah.
Oh no.
Yeah. So you can imagine
what a nightmare.
Me trying to zip up my pants. So that's why, people will walk up to me and say like, "Hey, your fly's open."
Yeah, or in this case, "Hey, I can see it."
Yeah. And I'm like, I know that I'm the weird one there. And I'm like, "Oh, so you can."
Yeah.
So I guess to this listener, correct.
Zippers are difficult for certain people, and one of the reasons is because they bite back. If you do not handle it properly, if you do not treat it with the respect it deserves, it will bite you. And Dr. London and his giant fingers have experienced this a lot.
Yeah, well, it's like, okay, I guess, I don't know if you saw whenever I showed my fingers a moment ago, but like full of Band-Aids, covered in Band-Aids and scar tissue from trying to get this dang zipper. And here's the thing. You go to the restroom, you go potty, and then you go back over and you're expected to, between washing your hands or before washing one of those times you're supposed to zip it up. That's so fast.
Oh,
There's
God.
a line behind me. There are people talking about what I've just done, And
we've tried like Velcro with Dr. London, but you cut up your hand on that too. You say that's way too
spiky.
sharp.
It's really spiky.
Yeah. I've tried duct tape as well, but you've somehow gotten yourself essentially in duct tape handcuffs, and I don't even know how that worked, but
yeah. Well, and then I get stuck in the bathroom because the cuffs it ends up going. It's got the part that goes above the door, and I don't know. It's hard to explain, but like I do get stuck there, and then
you're trapped Saw style in the bathroom.
That's right, and it's and it does get scary whenever someone comes in and says, "Saw," like from the movie.
Yeah.
Because it's like I'm really there.
I saw
in Saw
that
world.
Like the comment.
Like the comment, yeah. So thank you so much for this feedback. That's really helpful for us, and we'll improve the show based on that. Next is a comment on our snippet about Dr. London's niece. At official Daniel Sneed said, quote, "Let me buy you a new phone, better quality camera," end quote. So thank you so much for this feedback. Now, we would accept new tech if you want to sponsor the podcast. But I just got this iPhone 4 and it's got Flappy Bird. So, I mean...
Yeah. Like there's not going to be another phone that can handle a game like that.
Yeah. It's... for those who don't remember this craze, I want to say... It might have been a decade ago now.
More than that. Yeah, maybe like 13, 14 years ago. Yeah.
Yeah. There was an app called Flappy Bird that was very simple. You poked the screen and then made a bird fly. And the app developer was scared of the fame, I think, and so
scared of
from
the
the
bird.
App Store.
The bird was moving so fast and he couldn't control it anymore, and he was like, "This is stressing me out." Because he made the app because he was trying to get people to help. He was like, "I cannot contain this bird. Every time I tap the screen, the bird like moves out of the way. Please help me out." And people were just sort of like trying to see how long they could keep the bird going and stuff. It was torture, essentially.
Yeah. Yeah. So he disavowed the bird, got rid of the game, and only those who still had it on their phones and refused to update anything on their phones got to keep playing what for me was a game. And what for me continues to be a game. So yes, I'd like to have better tech, but better, is it really better if you can't play Flappy Bird?
Yeah, I mean, these new phones can't even handle it. Like, the tech literally cannot handle Flappy Bird.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah, it's basically analog. So, and like, sorry for those young folks out there,
it's a crank
analog
system.
It's a crank system.
Our phones used to have a crank, and that's how you would sort of interact with it.
Yeah. So, thank you so much for that feedback. I hope that answers your question. We have one more comment. This is a counter response to, can you guys get to Porsche Design? Who guys spoke them on the podcast? At Alan.arch1 said, quote, can you guys have a naked podcast spec-hail? They said spec-hail, end quote. So thank you so much for this feedback. We can't show nipples anymore on the podcast.
No, we've gotten too many warnings from the FDA, the FCC, the IRS. You're allowed a certain amount of nipples to be published online each year, and we consider ourselves a boundary pushing podcast. Like we go up against, what the cultural elite and all these different things. But being able to show, for example, a nipple, or maybe like a butt hair, or even like I'll say it, a pube, which we've had episodes, very famous. There's the famous pube episode. There's the famous butt hair episode.
Yeah. Well, it just makes me think of our Patreon tiers, which are a lot of the Patreon tier. For one thing, we have our own liberal tiers, but we also have that you can pay for with the higher tier. You can get a tangle of our hairs sent to you. And for you to untangle as you like. It's not like you have to leave them tangled.
Yeah, so essentially, commenter, you're asking, can I please see your pubes? You gotta subscribe to the Patreon to get that. And then we will ship it to you. Then you can do whatever you want. Witchcraft, it doesn't matter.
Yeah. So, thank you so much for that feedback. I hope that answered your question. Orion_727, they said, quote, do you like spinach, Big Daddy? End quote. So I think this one's directed to me. Thank you so much for this feedback. So this is my kid. We've been arguing about the birthday decor. He's got a birthday coming up, and he says, hey, what if we put up spinach to, like, from the rafters and such?
Right.
And I tell him,
Popeye.
Yeah. And I tell him, for one thing, like, if you make it a Popeye themed birthday, that'll work. But he wants it to be Daredevil from, like, Marvel stuff.
Right. And Daredevil famously does not care for spinach. He thinks it's fine, but doesn't go out of his way to get it.
Yeah, like, if it comes with a meal, like, and if it's a part of a meal that's sort of set, then he'll eat it then. But yeah, he does not go out of his way for it. He's just kind of all right with it. And like I told the kid, like, what if you want it to be a Daredevil theme party, just turn off all the lights. Daredevil is like, I don't know if this is kind of a mean thing from Marvel, but like, he can't see much.
Right, like make the birthday party blindness themed.
Yeah.
A classic kid's birthday party. Have Braille everywhere. The lights are out. Things are slightly louder, and senses in general are much stronger for all the attendees.
Yeah, and like it just seems, I don't know. And I guess also wear blindfolds themselves because all the lights being out may not be enough. And just, I don't know, like, really celebrate your heroes. But yeah, with the spinach stuff. So now I'm
spinach when it's so disrespectful, knowing that Daredevil, like, really doesn't care for spinach. Like, he's just not,
fine.
It's just not a priority.
If it's there, yeah.
And that's such a
and then
huge
the other
part
option,
of his character. That I don't know. But that's
that
kids these days,
stuff.
Right? They don't care about canon. They don't care about lore.
Yeah, and the third option I was trying to give my kid was, like, if you cancel your birthday, then you can stay young forever. So,
right.
like,
I mean, Dr. London, you've been 4 years old for as long as I've known you.
Yeah, and like that's in part because no one has ever wanted to celebrate my birthday.
Yeah.
No one's ever like wanted to talk to me on my birthday. No surprise parties, nothing. Well,
No.
the 4 years, those were surprise parties.
Oh, well, yeah, those first 4 years were great surprise parties. But like after that, no one's asking about it. No one's really talking to you in general about subjects, even not about your birthday. Just about life.
Yeah. So thank you so much for that feedback. I hope we answered your question. Next is, this is from TikTok. This is a comment on our response to "Quality is amazing, keep it up." At Jack Barnard 999 said, quote, "Quite the Sigma, or should I say skibbity Sigma?" And then 4 thinking face emojis, end quote. So thank you so much for this feedback. Pretty embarrassing for me. I don't speak Greek. I'm monolingual. Sorry, no, not I'm bilingual. I speak American English and the Queen's English. But I don't speak Greek. So this I said it out loud, but it's like that's how everyone knows Russian, you know? Like I don't actually I don't know what I'm saying.
Right. And
like
I hope you don't get canceled for this, just because I know it is an expectation that you should know Greek by now. I mean, you are an adult. You're a grown man. But to come to your defense, Dr. London is legitimately bilingual. Like, I have seen him spell color with a U.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And you even called something a lorry once. I don't think it was the right thing.
It wasn't a bus, no.
Yeah, but
so someone said you're a worrywart, and I said, well, you're a lorry tort.
Yeah, and I was around for that.
Yeah. Yeah. So thank you so much for that feedback. That's really helpful for us. That'll help us improve the podcast. It's a comment on our response to opinion on fat balls. At Zaboinky said, quote, "What is in the background?" End quote. So thank you so much for that feedback. I've been trying to figure this out too. Now, because so the difference between the foreground and the background. Foreground is the stuff that your eye naturally is drawn to, right? So I've been trying to look past that in the background. Sometimes it's a tree. Sometimes it's mountain. If I look up a little bit, blue sky, background.
And this just goes back to, we talk about it all the time on this podcast, but Plato's cave, his famous shadow cave, where when you're so focused on the shadows in the cave, then suddenly when you're exposed to the background, these things you've never seen before, you don't know what's going on. And that's why it's so funny. That's the funniest story of all time.
Yeah. Yeah. And and a lot of people don't realize that background, if you think about it through the lens of Plato and philosophers, it is actually funny to look at background.
Oh, yeah, especially with the shadows.
Oh, yes. But no, the average schmo who isn't thinking of these higher level things, they are going to see just probably the foreground stuff, because that's like usually like the person they're talking to or whatever.
And if you were actually asking us what me and Dr. London's ethnic backgrounds are, we're failed orcs. The transition didn't work. So I mean, we're humans.
Yeah.
But it's just...
But like, we were explicitly reminded that it was a failed attempt at something else. So...
Yeah, whatever the conversion process is that involves turning someone or something, or the elves or whatever, I don't really remember, into orcs.
Yeah, no,
we sucked at that. And so we're sort of... Oh. But I would say that ethnically, we're still orcs.
And I'd say I'm mixed. I'm a mix of so many white things.
Oh, yeah.
Like so many white people groups that like you almost could discern like I guess that I'm like I look a little pale sometimes, unless I stay in the sun too long and then I turn red, but then I go pale pretty much immediately afterwards. So hope that answers your question. Thank you so much for that feedback. And now for today's medical topic, hypertensive nephrosclerosis. So sclerosis is a hardening of tissue, especially from overgrowth of fibrous tissue. Nephro refers to kidneys and hypertensive refers to high blood pressure. So hypertensive nephrosclerosis occurs due to systemic hypertension or high blood pressure, increasing capillary hydrostatic pressure in the glomeruli of the kidneys, leading to benign or malignant sclerosis. And so benign nephrosclerosis involves a thickening of the glomerular afferent arterioles, and that's afferent means it's the entering the kidney part. And that develops in patients with long-standing hypertension. This results in mild to moderate increase in creatinine levels, microscopic hematuria, that's blood in the urine, and mild proteinuria, that's protein in the urine. And advanced disease can lead to end-stage renal disease.
Wait, you're saying it benign, not beignet?
Yeah, but sorry.
I think I've okay. Sorry, some things are making sense here. What does that mean?
Benign means it's like the opposite of malignant. It means like it's not cancerous, it's not like horribly spreading, invasive.
Okay, and could like another word for that be sort of like a French pastry with powdered sugar on it?
Oh, beignet?
Yeah.
It's not a synonym if that's what you're... No, it's just spelled slightly similarly.
I've been approaching medicine incorrectly for a long time then.
Okay.
Okay. Things are making sense. Because, yeah, doctors have been saying, like, you shouldn't have put a beignet in there. You shouldn't have sewn that beignet into your body. Okay.
I don't think you would do that with a benign thing either. I think fundamentally your approach might be pretty off, because if something's benign, you don't have to mess with it, usually.
Right, but I would read something like, okay, a beignet tumor, which I don't have, I can't produce that naturally, so I've got to put that in there myself, manually.
So, you don't have to, I guess is, like...
Well, then why am I reading the books? Why am I reading these medical books if I'm not going to follow the instructions?
So malignant nephrosclerosis can develop in a patient with long-standing benign high blood pressure or in a previously undiagnosed patient. Malignant nephrosclerosis is characterized by a rapid decrease in kidney function and accelerated high blood pressure due to diffuse intrarenal vascular injury. And that's in the kidney, vascular injury. Clinical manifestations include markedly elevated blood pressure, which can manifest as papilledema, cardiac decompensation, CNS findings. They can have renal manifestations such as rapid increase in creatinine, proteinuria, hematuria, red blood cells, white blood cell casts, and urine sediment, and sometimes nephrotic syndrome. That'd be, the protein in the urine. Microangiopathic hemolytic anemia may also be present. So that's literally like torn up blood cells. The treatment for hypertensive nephrosclerosis, both the benign, it's not beignet, it's benign, and malignant forms, is controlling the blood pressure. So you'll address the blood pressure issue. And then in advanced disease, you'll treat it like...
which is caused by the beignets.
It's not unrelated.
In my case, I'm really starting to suspect that my blood pressure issues
are beignet related,
and the kind of excessive amount of beignets that I'm sort of sewing into my body might be related.
Ask your and you're gonna say it's me.
Yeah, you're my doc. I'm asking right now.
In advanced disease, treat as for chronic kidney disease, and Cameron, you said that we have a special guest, is that right?
That's right, Dr. London. We have a very exciting guest.
Okay, well, hello there. My name is drlondonsmith.com. This is our producer, Cameron. What was your name?
Konnichiwa. I'm Suzy Sushi. And I have to say, I totally relate to that whole thing about the media portraying you wrong, because the media has just attacked me so many times, saying that I'm fetishizing my culture just to sell my used tampons. But, like, I'm a businesswoman, you know?
Sorry, you used what? Selling your
Tampons?
used.
Yeah.
Okay,
My
I guess I
fans
heard
love
it right.
it.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I've kind of heard about this thing. Dr. London, there's this internet thing. Have you seen this?
The internet? No.
Okay.
Oh, well, the internet is great.
Yeah, it's basically like a box with a bunch of freaks inside of it.
Oh, there's also tubes and wires involved.
There's tubes and wires, and you can send underwear, tampons, sweaty
Bath
socks,
water.
bath water. You can send all of that through the tubes or something.
Mm-hmm.
I guess I don't have those specific items, so do I need that stuff?
Well,
That's up to you, buddy.
if you want to
Okay.
be cool.
Oh boy. Wow. Okay. Then I guess I don't want to decide yet. Can I hold off on deciding? Because I kind of want to hear about what these are. You said bath water, so it's a drought where I'm at. There's a drought going on. So is this something I can use to fight the drought?
Oh, you can absolutely drink used bath water. There's a whole subsection of my fans that love to just DM me whenever they get my bath water and tell me about how they drink it all in one sitting. Mhm.
You could probably use it for
Okay.
soups as well.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Popsicles.
Okay.
Oh, they do that with my tampon.
Oh, that's perfect.
Yeah.
Okay.
They freeze really nicely.
That's good. Okay. I'm just trying to figure out how I would use it in my own life because I'm not super familiar with this culture and maybe there's an application I don't recognize, but
Well,
okay, so I can freeze the tampons
mhm.
Well,
and
what-
that will
Well, for the most part, it's a sex thing. Do you do sex? Do you know what sex is? You don't look like you know what it is.
We've
it's-
read a lot about people who I think they've had sex. Like,
So
did Oscar Wilde have
theoretically-
sex?
Oh,
well, it's
Okay, so then like
Okay.
him.
yeah.
I've heard of him.
Yeah,
who's the other guy? There's another guy who did.
JFK.
JFK, that's right.
Very famously.
Which R.I.P. Too soon. Lost too soon.
But Suzy, I want to know. Wait, what exactly do you do? What is your job title? Because right now, I know I can tell that you sell. You have a shop of some kind. But is that
Well,
your job? Like you just run like a
I'm a
like
businesswoman, of course. I
Are
mean,
you like an influencer? Like, is this like? Are you big on like TikTok or whatever?
Oh yeah, I'm huge on TikTok, and I'm not just talking about my tit.
Oh wow!
And
that's-
I'm huge
Can
on
I,
Twitch
just real-
and Kick and OnlyFans and
Can you hold on? Can you hold on like 1 second, Dr. Lennon? Can we talk in private?
Okay, yeah. Did she?
What is she talking about?
I thought she's tater tots.
She said
This-
like huge tater tots, and I'm like, they're pretty much uniformly the same size. I think usually.
Most of the time, they're like.
And what does
well, I
that have to
guess
do
the
with
size of your
JFK?
thumb, maybe.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
But I guess she's going into something about JFK.
Okay. Let's get back to it. Let's get back to it.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Okay. Well, that's so interesting. So you're like an influencer / businesswoman here to take
Conspiracy
over the
theorist.
world. But wait, what were you
Yeah.
saying about like people are trying to cancel you for something?
Oh yeah, they say that I'm using Japanese culture and the fact that I'm Japanese and totally fetishizing it or whatever. All these PC woke words. Just because most of my fans are middle-aged white dudes who always comment "Oh, you're so kawaii, you're such a waifu" on my posts. That's not my fault. It's not my fault that those guys like my content. Okay? And just because I cater to them, that's somehow my fault. That I'm giving them what they want.
It's because we've experienced this with our podcast. The majority of our podcast fans are like 45-year-olds who live in a studio apartment, and like don't have custody of their kids, but they do get to see them around holidays, like supervised and stuff.
Oh wow!
And it
See,
sounds
most of my
like
viewers don't even get supervised visits. That's really big
okay,
for
that's
you
the
guys.
big difference. Okay,
Yeah,
that makes sense.
yeah. Most of my like clientele has like completely lost custody, and like all their finances are mostly tied up in like donating to me and buying from my merch shop and everything.
And that is a large percentage of our listeners as well. Let's say they tried to buy a t-shirt and then they keep getting charged month after month. Then they email us and we say, "Oh, we're looking into it." Yeah, we're looking into the problem.
Right. Like, that's not your fault. That's like on the credit card company,
Yeah, or even the t-shirt company, if it even exists.
Or the cash value, the cash that we extract from their,
it's not my fault that cash isn't backed by gold anymore. You know what I mean?
Right.
Thank you.
I mean, the future is crypto, That's how I get most of my donations these days, through crypto.
Do you have your own coin? Because Dr. London and I do. We do have the Jock coin, and we do. Dr. London, do you have one with you right now?
Okay, hold on. I never remember because the things, it's one of the, it's an odd, it's small, but it's an odd shape.
Well, it's
so
shrunk
you can't just keep it in your
over
pocket.
the years. I think when
that has happened to a lot of my clients too, but not to coins.
Our coins, because DJ Dylan gave them to us in lieu of like payment for 1 year. And they look exactly like a pineapple, taste exactly like a pineapple, and kind of feel exactly like a pineapple. And it sort of shrunk and shriveled into sort of a black ball.
It's almost small enough to keep in our wallets now. So, like that, I'm excited about.
Yeah.
That's cute.
And DJ Dylan, how much is that worth?
Oh.
He okay. Yeah, he's not even. Okay. That was rude, but okay.
Out.
Yeah, God, Jesus.
Well, I'm so glad that you asked me about crypto because I'm actually coming out with an NFT line.
Oh, wow. And explain what this is. You're in the computer?
Yes. So it'll be pictures of me and, various body parts that I have. And
arms,
shoulders,
knees,
ankles.
And toes, of course.
Okay.
And my clients will be able to purchase them for only a small fee of like, several $1,000s, but you can do a payment plan. There's a payment plan where you only pay like $100 a month for about, 18 months. And bing, bang, boom, you have an NFT of me looking so cute and so kawaii, and I'm just like the perfect little waifu, and you get like your own unique token of me.
Wow. I've been telling people about these like subscription payments to stuff because like I'll be ordering a pizza online and I'll see the Klarma like pay this in 4 payments. And I'm like, that is such a good idea. Like if I can afford this $15 pizza or whatever, I should go into debt and owe interest on this. I want my credit to have a check. I want a credit check when I order this pizza, Well,
because the thing is, like, you have to build credit, right? That's a thing you have to do. And the only way to do it is to mess with it.
Yes, to just constantly have hard pulls against it because I'm taking out lines of credit in order to get like a shoe or in this case, like bath water, because I also need bath water. I have none.
Yeah.
Of course. And all of my bath water is natural and organic. So,
Okay.
That
will be a big step up for us because we've had such inorganic waters, like heavily metallic water, in our area. And okay, so I can see like there is a real market for your stuff.
I mean,
I
that's
get
just so tragic to hear about all of the water issues. That's why whenever you buy one of my bath waters, I donate a tiny little portion of the profits to making sure that other e-girls have clean and safe bath water to sell.
Oh, wow. That is so special.
Mhm.
To be able to give back like that.
I know. I love charity. And I'm not just talking about the stripper I do shows with on the weekends.
Because I was about to ask about that. But man, and just to hear that, like, the gotcha culture out there, here you are doing charity work, actual charity work. And the news is out here being like, oh, you're fetishizing this. I'm sorry, but I don't personally associate bathwater or tampons with Japanese culture. That's you doing that, PC world.
Yeah. Yeah, like, and the fact that, like, here's what I do know about the other cultures. Sometimes they drink tea. And are you drinking tea?
Well, sometimes I drink tea and then I spit it back out. And, I sell little baggies of my tea spit.
And that,
Okay.
yeah, that seems like a great way to sort of share your culture like that.
Right? And
Yeah.
I get all the best, like, imported and organic Japanese teas, too. So I'm sharing the culture with the rest of the world.
And you're shopping local for Japan.
Mhm.
It's local somewhere.
Exactly.
A lot of people don't realize that. Whenever people say to shop local, you can, like, it doesn't matter. As long as it's local to wherever you're buying it from, that's
Mhm.
local. Like, you don't have to make it a whole thing of like, ooh, this has to be a mom and pop shop. No, order your local
Have you
stuff
met
from
some of
Amazon.
these moms and pops? Some of them don't
no,
deserve your money.
They're so mean.
Mm-mm.
They're so mean.
Some of them are so mean.
Yeah.
Just like my parents were.
Oh, wow.
Not to trauma dump on you guys, but
No, that's what this podcast is about. I mean, besides going, railing against woke culture and talking about crypto and also snowboarding. But besides that, it's about like being emotionally raw and real.
Yeah, my parents, they were those mean mom and pops that you talk about. They wanted me to like go to college and like be a doctor and like make something of myself, as if what I'm doing right now isn't important, as if I'm not out here helping people with my content.
Yeah.
Charity work.
Oh, I wish I could relate. My parents wanted me to go into Japanese culture and just sort of become an online influencer and sell tampons and bathwater, but I instead went this doctor path. Sort of against their wishes.
Yeah, I remember when you were a kid and your mom even saying like, one day there's going to be a site called Twitter and I hope you have an anime avatar. And that's sort of like how you like post screenshots of 4chan threads from 25 years ago. And like that's how you make your living. And then you sort of betrayed your parents. Classic, selfish child, which is kind of what Dr. London was. And you became a doctor. Sold out a bit, but
yeah. So anyway, it's sort of opposite worlds finally coming together in that sense. And I don't. Do you remember to ask your name so far?
I'm Suzy Sushi. How could you forget that?
That's
Dr.
right. Okay,
London.
I wanted to make sure. That seems like something I would have asked and remembered, but I wanted to make sure. I'm
just glad that we found each other, that we can relate to each other this way,
Yeah.
If only I had your parents and you'd had mine.
Oh,
maybe
wow.
everything would have been different.
And if Cameron had parents at all.
If I could find them, that would be awesome.
Oh.
My mom left me at that mall and I haven't kind of figured it out since then.
Damn. Are they trapped in like a Where's Waldo book?
I think they're just at home, probably. But I mean, gosh, is their home inside of a Where's Waldo book? That I would have no idea. It's been so long.
It's one of these things that this would be the kind of thing you would ask your own parents, right? Like,
oh, if I could, yeah.
Yeah. And the reason you can't is because home's kind of a long walk.
Well, I'm still at the mall, yeah.
Yeah. So, Yeah, so we all relate in this way of like, oh, we were disappointing our parents, or we won't bother to leave the place where we last saw our parents. And it's, I don't know, I think it is healthy to kind of talk this stuff out and get a grip on how like maybe we aren't as messed up as we thought if all of us are kind of dealing with that situation.
Right.
It's
Like
about
maybe.
building community, relating to each other's struggles,
Yeah.
coming together, unity in a time of strife.
And so maybe our parents are the freaks, is what you were saying, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, our parents
They
suck
suck.
so bad.
I don't suck. They suck.
Yeah. Now, obviously my parents, they're both, one might argue, like more successful physicians. Like,
Sure. Yeah.
One of the reasons they told me not to go down this path is because they're like, you will suck at it. You're so bad. You're so bad at doctor.
Right. Them
And-
wanting you to become sort of an anime shut-in guy was more like,
For my own good.
yeah, they were like, this is just sort of where we think you're going to end up.
I'm surprised
like,
you're
if I
not one of
start
my
now-
clientele.
Yeah, no, it's in part because like I really focused up on the doctor stuff and I really ignored my parents, and it's part of me wonders what life would have been like if I had buckled down and studied anime and really, and I think I might have been successful enough to be, one of your clients, but no, now I've gone for sort of the underdog thing of being a medical doctor, and
Right. Like a celebrity doctor.
Yeah, and so like I have to kind of struggle
like Dr.
with.
Phil.
Yeah,
I know-
like I mean,
He,
Oprah.
like,
she
like,
was a doctor, right?
Oprah is a doctor, but Dr. London like is the celebrity doctor. He like no one talks about Dr. Oz anymore. Dr. London is sort of like taken over as America's preemptive.
Yeah.
Well, that's funny.
yeah.
Because his name's London, but he's like America's favorite doctor.
yeah,
yeah.
Yeah.
He's not allowed back in London. That's sort of why he's kind of looking like that.
Oh,
Yeah.
no.
He tried to claim he owned the city because of his namesake and yada yada. But I want to
I
ask.
understand that. I tried to trademark the word kawaii because, my brand is kawaii.
Uh-huh.
But, they told me that was like a word in a language and like you can't do that, which I just think is so mean.
Right, you should be able to say, but that's my word now.
Yeah.
I get to
mine.
own that. That's what London tried, but then he got arrested and deported and barred from re-entering the country.
That's the wokeism for you.
Yeah, the criminal acts I also did, but like mostly it was the name thing.
Yeah. You stole whatever the English equivalent of the Constitution is.
Yeah, the royal diamonds. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what those are.
I'm sure that diamonds are the equivalency of laws in London, of course. That makes
Because
sense.
that is
Yeah.
the law, is just the Queen's diamonds. Because she's law.
I mean, honestly, I didn't read up on it. I just grabbed what I could. And,
You're just grabbing fistfuls of whatever and just running
then
out of Buckingham Palace.
yeah,
that makes
gotta say,
sense.
grabbed what I couldn't, as it turns out, because they did imprison me because it was my name.
Yeah.
Makes
But
sense.
Suzy Sushi, you have success in an area where Dr. London and I have been struggling, which is our social media presence. Sounds like you've got a big following across all socials. Dr. London and I continuously get flagged, and it's not even for inappropriate content. The moderators will literally say, "This just kind of sucks."
Mm-hmm.
Like
I can see that.
the content will be removed solely because the moderator like yawned too heavily.
Yeah, that makes
Yeah.
sense.
What are we doing
And
wrong?
the-
What can we do? Because I don't think anyone's buying like my bathwater, especially if it's just your bathwater recycled.
Yeah, it's just dusty is the problem with yours.
At
Or
that
one of the
point,
problems with yours.
yeah,
Right. Well, I would say show some tits, but neither of you really have those.
Okay.
And that's really been my go-to is just, tits, ass, and then being like, that's
Okay.
gotten me like
Yeah.
millions of followers. I don't.
And that,
so-
But like
okay.
you guys don't have those, so
Well, I mean, we can try. Like, CGI. You can do
Yeah.
anything with CGI these days.
I guess we'll end on that high note. That's got to be good for us, I think. Are you a fan of anyone you want to promote besides, of course, your channel's so famous, but any underdogs out there that you want to promote, social media?
Oh, absolutely. There's this young up and coming actress that I really like. Her Instagram is May CDS. There's a period, May period C period D period S. And she's great.
Okay. So go ahead and give her a follow. Obviously follow Suzy Sushi. Let's see. Thank you to our producer Cameron. Thank you to Digital in the House.